because tomorrow we will celebrate our 6th month. So we created that party the 14th of September last year, and up to now we have more than 36,000 members. So and as you know, in the house, I'm sitting at the back near Elizabeth May. She's my seatmate. She's a nice lady. We had a deal together. I said, Elizabeth, I don't want to speak politics with you because we're going to fight. I don't want to fight. So she said, okay, Maxime, we won't have any discussion, political discussions. I said, okay. But I said, can I ask some question about your party? I said, you know, the Green Party of Canada, when did you create the party? And she said, 35 years ago. And I asked her, how many members do you have after 35 years? She said, 19,000 members. So we're doing great with 36,000 members. And that was the beginning in September. And that was important for us to have a lot of members all across the country. And actually, if you look at with the population in Canada, like you know, Alberta represents about 11% of the population of our country. But our membership from Alberta represents 16% of our memberships. So that's great. And we are a real national party. We have members all across the country. And so what we did before December, we worked with our members and we created riding association. And now we have riding association, EDAs, in every riding in this country. So thank you very much. And the next step for us, it is to have candidates for the next election. So we are working right now with our riding association, and the goal is to start to look for candidates next week. And our goal is to have almost all our candidates before the end of June. So like that, we'll be ready for the summertime, and everybody will campaign during the summer and up to the election, the 21st of October. But also what we want to do, we want to be ready for the next election. So we will have a conference in Ottawa. Our executive of our EDAs and our candidates will be invited, and people who want to come in Ottawa for 2 days, a conference about our program, our platform. Election Canada will come and brief our people to be sure that we understand the legislation. So it will be a 2 days conference in Ottawa. And after that, everybody will be ready for the next election. But we are able to do that because we have faith in people. We have faith that you have the ability, the dignity, and the right to make the right decision for your own life. We don't believe in a big... We don't believe in a big fat government in Ottawa. And we believe in a government that will respect the Constitution. And we were able to build this party because of our 4 principles: individual freedom, personal responsibility, respect, and fairness. And we will work hard to be sure that Canadians understand our principles. And for us, there's no compromise with our principles. All our policies are based on these 4 principles. And I think that's why we're able to attract people that are coming from different backgrounds. Yes, we have with us a former conservative that believe in free markets. You know, the Conservative Party of Canada, I thought they were believing in free markets, but they want to keep a cartel for milk, poultry, and eggs, and that will cost us twice that our friends in the US are paying for milk, poultry, and eggs, and it is costing a Canadian family $800 a year. but they want to protect the cartel of supply management, like the Liberals, like the NDP, like the Green. They want to work with 19,000 producers under supply management, and they don't want to work with 36 million Canadians. So we are the party who want to work for everybody. So for us, our principle, it is not a slogan, it is not buzzword, it is something that we believe in. And we won't do any compromise. And you know, I have a speech that I delivered in French in Quebec a couple of years ago about pipelines and equalization. And that was very popular in Quebec. I said what I believe in. I said that we must follow the Constitution. And I just want to take some time to deliver that speech to you because it's important. And I think you want to know what is our position on pipelines, what is our position on equalization. That's very different than the traditional political parties. So, it is obvious that many Albertans have lost faith in our country. They have lost faith in the ability of the federal government and traditional political parties to solve their problems and answer their needs. The federal government itself is simply afraid to use its power to impose national solutions because it does not want to use the power that there in the Constitution to impose the real solution for being sure that we'll have pipelines in this country. And this is not what the fathers of our Constitution had intended. The objective of our Constitution, the 1867 Act, was not to subordinate provincial governments to a central authority or the central authority to regional whims, but rather to have sovereign provinces within the limits of their powers dealing with local matters that directly affected citizens, and a sovereign federal government within the limits of its own powers dealing with matters of national interest. And my focus today is on Ottawa's failure to use its authority to adopt the right economic policies for the whole country, whether we are talking about pipeline construction or equalization. It's absolutely essential that we address these issues, and we must be sure that our friends in other provinces understand the importance of these issues. When it comes to pipelines construction, there have been so many bad decisions on the part of the Trudeau government that it is hard to know where to begin. But let me summarize them. Upon taking office in 2015, the Trudeau government imposed a ban on all tanker traffic on the north coast of British Columbia with Bill C-48, effectively killing the Northern Gateway Pipeline project. Yeah, and a year later, the government officially rejected the pipeline. And Bill C-48, which is still in the Senate, will also prevent the construction of another pipeline, Eagle Spirit. That's a $12 billion investment project that could provide First Nations with a golden opportunity for economic development. There are no reason to ban tankers on the north coast of British Columbia, but not on the south coast, or on the Canadian east coast, or on the St. Lawrence River. What we should do is to adopt the best measures to prevent spills, contain them and rapidly clean up if they do happen. But this government is not really concerned with balancing economic growth, economic development with environmental protection. It is concerned about balancing vote buying among certain groups and regions with vote buying in other groups and regions. And that's sad. That's really sad. Another bill, Bill C-69, will negatively impact not just energy projects such as pipelines, but other industries as well, like mining, forestry, and port expansion. It will make everything much complex and difficult to build. Any group not directly affected by a project will be allowed to intervene, multiplying the number of opponents. That's the bill that requires projects to be analyzed based on, and I quote the bill, the intersection of sex and gender with other identity factors. Whatever that means. Forget about any project development in Canada if this bill is adopted. Investors will just go elsewhere. Many of them have already left. The National Energy Board then decided in 2017 to consider upstream and downstream emissions from the Energy East pipeline that it was reviewing. This would have required the company to account for entire climate warming impact of the project, including during construction and operation of the pipeline and from oil shipped on the pipeline. It made no sense, and a few months later, TransCanada predictably canceled its project. Finally, there is a Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion project. Here again, the investor got cold feet after years of uncertainty, and the government bought it for $4.5 billion last May.
With our CPP money.
Yes, it is just one disaster after another. It is costing us tens of billions of dollars in lost investment, as well as tens of thousands of lost jobs. But to go back to our problems with the way our country works, there is even more insidious aspect to this situation. It is the idea that Ottawa does not really have the power to get these projects approved. Justin Trudeau said that, and I'm quoting him, while governments grant permits for resource development, only communities can grant permission. But that cannot be true. There never is unanimity on anything. That's why we have a federal government. The purpose of having a country is to have a level of political authority where we can debate, coordinate, and if necessary, impose decisions that are in the national interest of our country. And if we don't use this power, what's the point of being one country?
Right.
Of course, we must consult. Of course, we must try to accommodate as many people and community as possible. Of course, we must answer as many security and environmental concerns as possible. But there has to be an authority within the final say, and that's the federal government. So, during the debate about Energy East, you could have believed that the Montreal mayor, Denis Coderre, you remember him? Denis Coderre? had the authority to block the project just by himself. And more recently, the newly elected Quebec Premier, François Legault, implied that he too could block a project for a national pipeline when he said that there was no social acceptability for it in Quebec. That's just not true. A recent poll done by the Montreal Economic Institute showed again that a majority, yes, a majority of Quebecers prefer to get the oil from Western Canada rather than from anywhere else in the world. And they believe that pipelines are the safest way to transport it. But more importantly, neither the City of Montreal, nor the Quebec government, nor the BC government, nor single Aboriginal communities have the power to block the construction of a national pipeline. It's a decision to be made by the federal government. So, here's what I propose to do to make sure that we can build pipelines again in this country, and that the development of our oil resources once again brings prosperity and unites our country instead of dividing it. First, scrap Bill C-48. Second, scrap Bill C-69. Third, simplify and streamline the process for approving pipeline construction. Fourth, find a private buyer for Trans Mountain. And fifth, reassert federal jurisdiction over this issue when necessary by invoking Section 9210 of our Constitution. This section grants federal jurisdiction over modes of interprovincial and international transportation and communication. Our Parliament can overcome local opposition and exercise this authority by declaring any project to be for the general advantage of our country. I said on Quebec TV in French that I would be using this power to ensure the construction of a new Energy East pipeline through Quebec if the project can be revisited. Justin Trudeau, as you know, will do nothing. Is instead very busy with a scandal in Ottawa right now. But instead, Justin Trudeau agrees with Legault that there is no social acceptability for a pipeline in Quebec, and as you know, that's not true. And in any case, he's very busy now buying votes in Quebec by trying to save SNC Lavalin from a corrupt trial. He doesn't have time to spend on pipelines. Yes. As for my friend Andrew Scheer, he never says what he will do about pipelines in French in Quebec. He only says it is possible to find the right solution and to have an agreement with the Quebec government. But what if the province, my own province, keeps refusing? Will he use Ottawa's constitutional power to impose it? He won't answer this. He's just too busy to try to buy votes in Quebec also. and he is too afraid of the pushback from his Quebec MPs. So he is too afraid also of having a bad press in Quebec. But I'm not afraid. I'm saying the same thing in French and in English. And that's what I like in politics. You need to speak about what you believe, and if we have only 10% of the population that agree with us, for me it's a new challenge. Because we have the right ideas, we have the right policies, and we know that will be good for this country, so we must speak about it with passion and conviction, and at the end we'll have the support of a huge majority for our ideas. And Scheer's first act after he became the leader of the Conservative Party of Canada 2 years ago was to whip a vote in favor of the Paris Accord. He has promised a new plan to reach the Paris emissions target. He won't impose a carbon tax, it's okay, but he will add more burdensome regulation and more subsidies across the country to those already in place. A People's Party government will scrap the carbon tax and listen to that, we won't do anything else. That's clear? And Scheer is concerned about climate change, and we want to impose more regulations, more legislation, and at the end that will have a cost on businesses and on consumers. We won't do anything. We won't sign the Paris Accord. We will repeal the Paris Accord. And our Constitution is well written. In environment, the environment, it is a shared jurisdiction between the federal government and the provincial government. So, if Quebec or Alberta or BC, they want to fight climate change, they will decide at the provincial level. But at the federal level, we won't impose anything, and we won't impose a carbon tax. Let's move to another federal issue that is dividing our country, the Equalization Formula. I know, I know that is one of the biggest sources of resentment here in Western Canada and disunity all across the country. At a time when your economy is hurting because of the downturn of the energy sector, you are still paying for a program that is sending billions of dollars to other provinces. You are right. This program is unfair and inefficient for you, but not only for you, but also, I would argue, for the citizens of provinces that have been on the receiving end for decades: Manitoba, Quebec, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and PEI. There is a myth that equalization at least has the benefit of helping them. But the opposite is true. Studies have shown that equalization money encourages the growth of the public sector in the recipient provinces, which bids away resources and workers from the private sector and weakens it. Equalization money encourages recipient provinces to keep taxes high and to intervene more in their economies. They don't have as much incentive to make their economies more competitive and develop their resources because more private sector growth will lead to less equalization money. It prevents them from developing their full potential And it is a poverty trap for them. It is time to stop rewarding provincial governments for not adopting better economic policies. A province should not be receiving equalization payments for decades, like my own province in Quebec for the last 50 years. The program is part of our constitution, and we cannot simply abolish it. But we can make it less generous and more efficient. Two years ago, I proposed to review the current formula and adopt a new one that would avoid the poverty trap. It should encourage provincial governments to take responsibility for their bad decisions, provide incentive to adopt pro-growth economic policies, and reduce their dependency on federal money instead of the opposite. This will not only benefit citizens in these provinces, it will make all Canadians more prosperous. And instead of breeding resentment between givers and receivers, it will make our country more united. We must have a frank discussion on this issue. When I'm talking about changing the formula, only 7 economists in this country understand that formula. You know, it is not fair, and I will explain you a little bit why. All the energy coming from oil and gas, it is part of the formula. But the energy coming from hydroelectricity, it is not fully part of the formula, and that's unfair. That's why we need to change the formula and being sure that it will be less generous, and like that, provinces all across the country, they will have the right incentive to develop their own natural resources. Like in Quebec, they will have the right incentive to develop their shale gas. They will have the right incentive in New Brunswick to develop their shale gas. So we must do that for the benefit of our country and for the unity of our country. You will not get it, however, with Andrew Scheer and the Conservative Party. When the current government changed the equalization formula in the last budget for being sure that the formula will be more generous, I was the only one to say anything in Ottawa. The Conservatives remained silent for 2 reasons. One, they take you Westerners for granted. They believe that they don't have to tackle these issues to win here. They have abandoned you. And another reason, they are afraid to create a controversy in Quebec. Everything I just told you, I already said that in French and in English in Quebec. She will never do that. His Quebec MPs would freak out. They are not real small government conservatives. They are just traditional politicians who will say and do whatever it takes to buy votes, just like the Liberals. And yes, no more buying votes with your money. And I'm the only one who is not afraid to have this debate, not afraid to go in every part of our country to talk about it. I said the same thing in Montreal, Calgary, Regina, in St. John, New Brunswick, Halifax, and St. John's. Because I know It is not a question of pitting some Canadians against others, but of proposing solutions that will benefit everybody in our country. Solution that will make all Canadians more prosperous and unite us instead of dividing us. It is time for the federal government to reassert its authority on this issue that is so crucially important for our economy. It is time to unite our country around policies that will make us more prosperous. And it is time to have a federal government that will dare use its power to make the right decision. Our party is the only one who will do it for you, but for all Canadians at the same time. We are the only party that have the audacity, the courage, and the vision to make that happen. And we will do that together. It's too important for the future of our country. Some people are telling me, Maxime, you're saying that the conservative and the liberal are about the same, and I call them the Lib Cons Party. And for me, they're the same on the equalization, like I just said. They have the same policy on equalization that they don't want to talk about it. We can speak about immigration. They have the same policy on immigration. It's always more and more and more. We're the only party who wants fewer immigrants. We want to go back on the average that we had under the Stephen Harper government, maybe 250,000 new immigrants a year or less. Not 350 like it will be the case next year. So the Trudeau government, they are increasing that by 40%, knowing that only 6% of the population agree with that. 49% of the population want fewer immigrants. So we are the only party who speak about it, and we're not afraid to speak about it. The conservative and the liberal, they want more and more and more. We want fewer immigrants. We want people that will come here to be part of our society. We want less immigrants coming under the reunification of family. We want real refugees and less fake refugees like what we are doing in Quebec right now. Because what's happening in Quebec right now, these people, they call themselves refugees, but it's not me who said it, it's the Department of Immigration. The Department of Immigration in Canada said that at least 40% of them will have to be deported because they're not real refugees. They will have to be deported in 3 years from now. Imagine that would be very difficult for the federal government to do that after 3 years. So we must have a sustainable policy on immigration, and the way to do that is to know that these people who are crossing the border in Quebec, they're not really refugees. Their life is not in danger in the state of New York. So we will do everything to end that because we believe in real immigration, not in fake immigration. We believe that we must have fewer immigrants, and people who are coming here must believe in our Canadian values, sharing our sharing our values and also celebrating what unites us. Justin Trudeau liked to say, diversity is our strength. That's false, that's the opposite. Unity is our strength. And what unites us, it is our values, our culture, our history. And people who are coming here because they believe in individual freedom, personal responsibility, in free markets, and they want a better life. They want to participate in our society. That's what we want in the future. You know, I'm looking what's happening in Europe right now, in France and in Belgium. I don't want us to have these challenges. I don't want us to have these challenges. So that's why we need to question that right now. That's why we need to have fewer immigrants right now. Because I want our country to be like that in 10 years, in 20 years, in 25 years. So the People's Party of Canada, we're not an open border party. And we're not also an anti-immigration party. We just want fewer and people who are coming here for the right reason, like they did in the past. So this country has been built by Anglophone, Francophone, First Nation, and after that immigrants from Europe, and after that immigrants from Asia, and we are proud of that. And all these people came here to share our Canadian values. That's perfect. That must be the future also. So that's why, you know, I'm not with the Conservative Party of Canada anymore. I said last August that the Conservative Party of Canada is morally and intellectually corrupt, and that's the same for the Liberal Party of Canada. You know, they don't have any conviction. They're too busy of doing polling and focus group and try to know what they believe in. They don't know what they believe in. So Andrew Scheer actually said, he did an interview with the Toronto Sun. And after that interview, I called the Toronto Sun and said, you know, he did an interview with the board of the Toronto Sun, and I was a little bit jealous, so I called. I said, I want to have an interview also. But, you know, I didn't have an interview, they didn't want me, so it's okay. But Andrew Scheer did an interview, and he said something very interesting. And he said, it was in November last year. He said, now the Conservative Party of Canada, it is a centrist, pragmatic, political party with lots of ideas for a lot of people. So for me, the Conservative Party of Canada, it is not anymore a free market conservative party. That means no vision, no principle, no vision for the future of our country. So Andrew Scheer will tell you what you want to hear. He will try to please you, to please everybody. And we know when you try to please everybody, you end up pleasing nobody. That's the new Conservative Party of Canada. So they're like the Liberals on immigration. Shame on the Conservative, they're like the Liberal also on corporate welfare. So, you know, we want to end corporate welfare, and we'll do it. We'll end that, and we will save $5 billion, and like that we'll be able to lower taxes to every single entrepreneur in this country, with one flat tax on business at 10%. We'll be able also to abolish the capital gains tax in this country with that $5 billion. And we'll abolish also all the regional agencies that are giving grants to businesses, because, you know, entrepreneurs and business people, they're proud. It's not fair to tax a small business entrepreneur here in Edmonton and forcing him to pay taxes and giving that to GM, Bombardier, or SNC Lavalin. It is not fair. And a fair policy is to abolish that, and we want to help every entrepreneur. And the way to do that is to have a flat tax. But also we want to help every Canadian. We want to lower taxes to every Canadian without increasing the deficit, because we need to balance the budget. So we need to find money somewhere. We need to find money somewhere to lower your taxes.
Foreign aid.
Yes. Foreign aid. We can save $5 billion over there on foreign aid and use that to lower your taxes. So Justin Trudeau believes that it's good to give $2.3 billion to African countries to fight climate change. We'll abolish that. Do you really believe that these dictatorships in Africa will use the $2.3 billion to fight climate change? I don't believe that. So we can save $2.3 billion there. And also Justin Trudeau is buying vote because he wants to have a seat at the UN Security Council. So he's giving a lot of our money to a lot of countries right now. So we are building road in Africa. We are giving money to China for an infrastructure bank over there in Asia. So we can save a lot of money, but Justin Trudeau, it's so important for him to be part of the UN Security Council. For us, the UN, it's a dysfunctional organization. Money, and we'll save a lot of money. And what we will do, we are putting people first. That's why the party is called the People's Party of Canada, to put people first and also our country first. So we can save a lot of money there, but also we can save more money to lower your tax. Do you know where? CBC. CBC, $1.2 billion every year coming from your pockets. So what we can do, I will ask the CBC to be like the PBS in the state. If they're so good, their viewers will like to give money to them. So we'll have a transition period, and yes, we'll cut the CBC budget to be sure that, we want the press, we want the media to be independent from the government, not dependent from the government. So that's another difference between the conservative and us. The conservative and the liberal are the same about that. They don't want to speak about CBC. They don't want to speak about immigration. They don't want to speak about foreign aid. But we believe in foreign aid, but the real foreign aid. I think Canadians, we have a heart. And if there's a crisis, humanitarian crisis somewhere, I think our country must be there. Yeah. If there's environmental disaster, I think our country must be there. But that's it. We must not be there to build roads or fight climate change in other countries. So that's why we can save a lot of money on foreign aid. So
Trudeau can pay for his own. He's got enough money.
Yeah. I want to speak a little bit about what's happening in Ottawa right now. The SNC Lavalin scandal.
Trudeau for president!
Yeah. So I tweet about it, I spoke about it. It's all about cronyism. It's all about crony capitalism. I believe in free market, I believe in capitalism, but I don't believe in crony capitalism. So, the Trudeau government told us in the beginning they wanted to save 9,000 jobs in Quebec. So, first of all, that's not true. There's not 9,000 jobs in Quebec. It's 3,000. It's not 9,000. It's 9,000 all across the country. So they said, we want to have a special deal and give a privilege to SNC-Lavalin to save 9,000 jobs in Quebec. First, there's only 3,000 jobs in Quebec. Second, they told us, if SNC-Lavalin and the prosecution is going on, they can go bankrupt and they won't be able to have contracts with the federal government for the next 10 years. So that will have a big impact. But what we know right now, last weekend, I've read the news, that's not true again. SNC-Lavalin will be able to bid on the big infrastructure budget that the federal government is giving to build infrastructure in this country. So at the end, they will be able to have some contracts from the federal government. So that was another lie. So why are they doing that? They are doing that because the executive at SNC-Lavalin and the Liberals Party of Canada, they're like that. As you know, they gave money to the Liberals Party a couple of years ago without respecting Election Canada rules, and so that was illegal. They gave money, all the executive gave money to the Liberals. So they want to please their friends. They wanted to please their friends, but also they wanted to buy votes in Quebec. So that's why they wanted to have a deal with SNC-Lavalin. For us, I said, no special deal with SNC-Lavalin. No corporation is above the law. That's right. The law is there for every corporation. So for us, no deal with SNC-Lavalin. And when Andrew Scheer in Quebec, when they asked him that question, okay, yeah, we need to know a little bit more, we need to know what happened, and we want to have a public inquiry and all that, that's okay. But when they asked the question to Andrew Scheer about a special deal to SNC-Lavalin, if he's ready to do that to save jobs in Quebec, he didn't answer the question. Because also he's pandering to Quebec, and he wants to buy votes in Quebec. But what he does not understand, Quebecers are not stupid. They're not stupid. And I know a lot of business people and the small business entrepreneur and all the entrepreneurs in Quebec, they don't want to have any privilege from the government. They just want to follow the law. So no more privilege to SNC-Lavalin, no more cronyism in Ottawa, no more corruption in Ottawa with the People's Party of Canada government. When you have a big fat government that is giving subsidies and grants and privilege and special deals, that's why you have corruption. So if you want to end corruption in Ottawa, we need to have a smaller government. We need to have a government that will respect the Constitution. We need to have a government that won't interfere in provincial jurisdiction. So, and yes, in Alberta, if you want to have your own say on healthcare, it's a provincial jurisdiction, you must be able to do that. So that's our goal, to have a government that will respect the Constitution, respect provinces, respect the taxpayers, respect our people. That's the People's Party of Canada, and that's why I'm proud that we built this party in less than 6 months. Now, I count on you. I need you. I need you to be in touch with your riding association. I need you to be out there. I need you to help us to find the right candidate for your riding. We need to have 338 candidates, and we'll be able to have that. That's important. That's very important. We will be ready. Actually, people are coming to us because of the ideas. We have the right ideas. It is great. It is good to have the right ideas. But it is better to have the right ideas at the right time, and this is our time right now. And if we are working together up to the 21st of October, we can make a huge surprise. I like to say, yeah, not only him. I like to say that, Macron in France was a socialist. I'm not a socialist, as you know, but Macron in France was a socialist 11 months before the presidential election. He resigned from the Socialist Party, created his own party 11 months before the presidential election, and 11 months later, president of France. We started that 12 months ago. When we started that in August, we had 12 months in front of us. Now only 7 months. But I think a lot of things can happen in 7 months. We are making history. We are building a real national party. I like the platform of the Reform Party. That was a nice platform. And if you look at our platform, it's about 80% the same. That was a great platform. But that was a regional party. And they were not able to have candidates in Quebec. It took them 6 years to build a national party. Yes, you're right. At that time, they didn't have the social media. They didn't have Twitter and Facebook. We are using the social media to build our party. But, we, after 6 months, we have organization all across the country. We'll have candidates all across the country. And I must admit that after the by-election that we had, as you know, 3 by-elections 2 weeks ago, the Tuesday after the by-election, it was a Monday. I was in the house, sitting near Elizabeth May, and Elizabeth said something very interesting, and I was very touched by that. She looked at me and she said, "Maxime, you did great yesterday. You did great. 10% of the vote in BC, Burnaby-South, that's great." I said, "Thank you, but why are you saying that?" She said, "Maxime, because it took us, the Green Party," she said, "it took us 15 years to have one candidate with more than 10% of the vote. And it took you only 5 months to have that." She's right in a sense. Something is happening in this country. Why you're more than 400 people here, well, not in the formal election campaign. You are coming from all across the province to hear a politician from Quebec with a bad accent. And so I was in New Brunswick, and I said the same thing about the equalization money. Actually, I'll tell you an anecdote about that. I did my rally in New Brunswick. I spoke about equalization, immigration, pipelines. And so I did an interview at Radio Canada in English, CBC over there, in the day after in New Brunswick. So it was an early show morning. live show. She said, okay, Mr. Bernier will be, in 2 minutes, will be on air. That will be a 6-minute discussion. I just want to be sure, did you speak about equalization money during your rally yesterday? Because I want to ask you a question about that. I said, yes, okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. First question, Mr. Bernier, why did you came here in New Brunswick? You know, I came to speak about what we believe, individual freedom, personal responsibility, respect and fairness. And you know, I'm here because I want to have a lot of support. I want to have a lot of votes here in New Brunswick. She said, okay. Did you have a discussion about equalization during your rally yesterday? I said, yes. What is your position on equalization? I said, you know, I want to change the formula and I want the formula to be less generous. She said, oh, Mr. Bernier, I just want to understand. You want to be less generous. You want to cut the equalization money. Yes, I want to cut a little bit the equalization money just to give the right incentive to your province. She said, okay. So, do you know that 40% of our budget in New Brunswick, it is coming from the equalization money. So she said, I just want to understand, you're here in New Brunswick, you want to have votes, and you're telling people in New Brunswick that you want to cut their provincial budget by 40%? I said, yes. Because you people are proud, they're proud, they want their province to be richer, like Quebecers, they're proud, they want to be their province to be richer, and yes, we want to cut that, we'll do that on a transition period, and you know what? Your new Premier Higgins, said the same thing. He said Ottawa, and I don't have the quote, but I had the quote at that time, he said Ottawa must cut the equalization payment to be sure to give us the right incentive to develop our natural resources. So, I said, he is a courageous politician, and yes, we must do that. And I hope that, you know, and I said also, I had a discussion also with the Irving family a couple of days ago. And do you know what they're doing right now? They're coming to Alberta to buy natural gas because there's a lot of natural gas in New Brunswick, but they cannot exploit it. So they have to buy that in Alberta, transport that, it's good for you guys, but transport that to New Brunswick. So, and when they have a lot of natural resources just there in New Brunswick. So we need to change the equalization formula to give the right incentive to the provincial government for them to have the right economic policies. And so I said that. And at the end, she was a little bit surprised. She said, this politician, I'm sure she said that in her mind, she said, is different than the other politician. Yes, I'm different than the other politician. I don't want to be like the other traditional politician because, you know, the credibility of the other politician, it's about 5-6%. I don't want to be like them. I don't want. So we are speaking about our values with passion, with conviction, and that's why people are coming. And I think that's why people know that Bernie is so crazy that he will do it when he'll be in government. Yes, I do. So, and I said I want to end about an anecdote. I have another anecdote. Do you like my anecdote? Yeah. I have another one. I'll be short. That will be the last one. During the leadership of the Conservative Party of Canada 2 years ago, as you know, the platform of the People's Party is the platform that I put forward during that leadership. So I received a call from an organization downtown Toronto, a Muslim organization. And they said, Mr. Bernier, in our organization there are 5,000 Muslims, and they are members of the Conservative Party of Canada, and they will have to vote for the new leader. We have a lot of questions, and what we did, we had all the candidates for the leadership. They came here in Toronto, and we asked them the same questions. And what we will do, we'll put all the answers on our website, And so our people will be able to read the answer and decide for which candidate they want to vote. So there's 5,000 votes over there. But you didn't come to see us. Do you want to come to see us? I said, okay, I'll be there. So I was there and I had an interview with them downtown Toronto. And they asked me a lot of questions. And at the end, the last question, the lady said, Mr. Bernier, it's the last question. I said, okay, thank you. But Mr. Bernier, it's the most important question. All our members will read the answer of that question from all candidates to decide for which candidate they will vote. So that's the last one, but that's the most important. And I think that our people will read that question and they will decide on that question. So, Mr. Bernier, if you don't have the answer now, you can go back in Ottawa, think about it, write the answer, and email that to us. And if you want to take some time, when I will ask the question, to think about the question, here, 15 minutes, and after that, answering the question, it's okay. I said, what's the question? The question was, what will you do for the Muslim community in Canada? I said, that's the question. She said, yes. I look at her, I said, nothing. Good. I will do nothing for the Muslim community, nothing for the Christian community, nothing for the Jewish community. For me, you are Canadian, and I will do everything for all Canadians. No identity politics. No identity politics. And I look at the lady, I said, for me, you are a Canadian, and I'll do everything for you as a Canadian, and my platform is for all Canadians, and like the platform of the People's Party right now, it is not for Alberta, it is not for Quebec, it is not for buying votes. I'm not telling you about the equalization and pipeline to buy your votes. I'm telling you that because I believe it's the best policies for our country. I'm saying the same thing in Quebec, I'm saying the same thing everywhere. So, we don't have a platform to buy votes in a region, or we don't have a platform to buy vote with a different ethnic community. We have a platform that is good for the entire country, the whole country, and a platform that is great for all Canadians. And I want to thank you for your support, but we need more of your support. Don't hesitate to come with us. Don't hesitate to work with your writing association. And I think we'll take time for some questions, because I think you'll have a lot of questions. So thank you everybody. We have a mic somewhere. Yannick, are you coming with the mic? Okay. So maybe if we can have a line over there and a line over there, so we'll, yeah.
Given that accessory after the fact and an accomplice to a crime is illegal in Canada, shouldn't Justin Trudeau be in jail for helping jihadists get back? Genocide, rape.
Yeah, first of all, I think these people must stay over there. You know, why they have to come back here? Yep. I think they don't have to come back here. And you will be the judge for Justin Trudeau. You, the population of Canada, will judge him on his policies, and that will come in a couple of months from now. And I believe in you that you'll do the right judgment. Guilty!
My name's Adrian from Red Deer Mountain Zoo Riding. Just a couple quick questions, and the reason why is because I want to share this story personally, because myself and my parents came from a former communist country. So I grew up with that experience, and when the current government passed that gave themselves the permission and right to look at people's banking records, my mom started crying.
Yeah.
Right.
How will the party one completely repeal that kind of stuff?
Yeah, that's in the legislation. The right, the federal government passed that in the last second budget. Yeah, I think your bank account must be private. I agree with you.
Okay.
The second question?
Yeah, and this is more of a contentious one, and this is because there's so few checks and balances in the Canadian system. Are you at all, would you consider having MPs all have fixed terms?
I don't have anything on the platform on the electoral reform because we'll be too busy. We'll be too busy to do all our reform that we want to do. You know a lot of our reform. So I don't want to change the system. I don't want to open that. I think, you know, it's a parliamentary system. I like that system. And I know that it can be some disadvantage for a young party. But I trust people. I trust Canadians. So we won't have anything to change that system from now.
I got one question. You're in the riding constituency of the dairy farmers there, right?
Yeah.
Are you going to move to another constituency so that doesn't happen, that you don't get voted in?
Right.
That's my only concern.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Are you going to do that?
No, first of all, you know, in my riding, I have the most dairy producer in my riding. And, but, you know, there are 5,000 in my riding. They won't vote for me. That's okay. That's okay. But what I'm telling them, I want them to be able to export their products. They're doing great products. They cannot export under the cartel right now. So I want them to be able to export. And when we'll abolish that system, it will be on a transition period. They will have time to be more efficient and to reinvest in their facilities. But it is unfair that they are fixing the price and we're paying twice the price for that. So we must abolish that. I'm clear about it. But I think at the end, we will have fewer dairy producer in this country, but the people who want to stem the system will be able to stem the system. And like, you know, 90% of the farmers in this country are under the free markets. Only 10% of the farmers are under the cartel, poultry, milk, and dairy producers. So they must be like the other farmers. It is not fair for the other farmers. So that's why we want abolish it, no compromise, and that would be good for everybody.
I have no complaints, but I just want to say for months I've been getting a hold of your organization to find out about my riding association and to get stickers and information, and that hasn't been happening. So you're probably overwhelmed, but I think it would help if you could get a little bit more information. And if I could make one quick statement, I want Trudeau to run in the next election. So that he can do to the federal Liberals what Wynne did to the Ontario.
Speaking about the organization at the head office, we started the party with 2% working at the head office. Now, because we are able to raise money, we have 5 people working at the head office, but every week we receive 3,000 emails. Wow. Now we have a backlog of 500 emails, so we're working on it. So be patient, we're working on it. And also we will put on our website, the People's Party of Canada, all the riding associations that are approved by Election Canada. Up to now, we have about we send to Election Canada about 200 riding associations from approval. So as soon as it will be approved by Election Canada, it will be on the website and we'll be able to find the president of your riding association and all these details. But thank you very much, yeah, because I like to receive a lot of emails, so it's okay.
Secondly, I'm a retired serviceman and I work with the base now, and I'm just wondering what I can tell my former and fellow soldiers and veterans, what's going to happen to them?
Yeah, thanks for the question about the national defense and the veterans and the soldiers. So we don't have anything on our platform right now, but that would be part of our platform. I'm working on that. So what we want to do, we want to be sure to spend 2% of the GDP in our defense. It's about 0.6% right now. That would be part of the first budget. We'll increase that, but the goal is to reinvest. You know, when I spoke about all the cuts that we can do at the federal level, I didn't have time to speak about where we must reinvest the money. We must reinvest the money in your pockets, but also for the Canadian forces. So I will have more detail on the platform in a couple of weeks from now.
sorry, with the recent Revolt affair and the divisiveness that's going on in the politics, will you repeal the remediation agreement in the DPA?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm the only politician who said yes. We didn't have that possibility. I call that the SNC Lavalin clause in the budget. We didn't have that for the last 150 years. So they put that in the budget to please SNC Lavalin. No deal with SNC Lavalin, and we'll repeal that clause. Yes, thanks.
Right on. The second part of my question is, how will we deal with the backlog of Indigenous affairs portfolio and all the travesty that's going on reserves with no clean water, all the stuff the Liberals have talked about and have done nothing about?
Yeah, it's a shame, actually, you're right. It's a shame that reserve and they are spending money on foreign aids to help other countries, like I said, to fight climate change. Canada first, our country first. So I will have a policy, I'm working on that, on the relationship with the First Nation. That will be based on property rights on reserve. That will be based on the abolition of the Indian Act. So that will be a huge reform. So I'm working on that, and just stay tuned, you'll have more details. So what we need to add on our platform is our policy on the national defense and the veterans, and also the First Nation. But that's the philosophy, what we want to do. Thank you, sir.
Water pipelines is what we need.
Yeah, my name's Perry May. I'm with the corruption in our politics. It's because the East has too much power, and we don't have enough say in the West. And so then we need more seats in the West. You know, like Alberta and BC has close to the same population that Quebec has, but we have half the seats. And you know, if that was equalized out a bit, then this corruption wouldn't be happening, because you'd have to look after all of Canada, not the one.
Okay, thanks for the question. I understand your resentment, and I agree with you 100% about what's happening in Ottawa. The problem right now, it is in Ottawa, and we have the solution, like I just said in my speech. But that being said, we need, if you want to have more seats out west, we need to reopen the Constitution. And that will be a huge debate. And I will be too busy in the first mandate to fix that with our great policies. But we will need to reopen the Constitution, and maybe in a second mandate, but it won't be part of our platform, because I want to prove you guys that with that Constitution, if we respect it, and if we have a smaller government in Ottawa that is doing its job in approving pipeline and changing the equalization, you'll be happier, and maybe we won't need to reopen the Constitution and having a real debate.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to say, first of all, you are a breath of fresh air. And you're just creating more and more and more of a movement. And I've been following you since probably last November, and I notice every time you're speaking, you're getting more and more solid, I think, in what you're saying. Your platform is getting more established, more structured and more fleshed out. And I just feel...
And your English is getting better.
They said thank you in French.
I'm also an ESL teacher, okay? You took that right out of my mouth. And I wanted to say, I do. And I just wanted to say that my ESL students, who many of them are immigrants, are in that position where they are so frustrated and angry that people are coming into this country and they're not properly vetted, right?
You're right.
They're not, and so they're in that position. My question, however, kind of relates to that, is about what does it take to have an anti-confidence vote? Like, if you want a non-confidence vote, what does that take to present in Parliament?
Vote of non-confidence.
But the budget, the vote on the budget, it's a confidence vote. But when you have a majority government, the budget would pass. So.
But what about besides nothing? There is no other.
But people told me about how do you call it, a repeal legislation. If your MP is not doing what you want him to do, like in BC, I think they had something like that at the provincial level. So that's something that we can discuss, but I don't have that in the platform up to now. But that can be a way to be sure that your MP is listening to your concern.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Max.
Merci.
Max, I am so thankful for you that you started the PPC party. You speak my language. I understand you when you're talking. And you've given us hope.
Yeah.
And I have a big question. Bill C-76, does everybody know what that's about? It's Trudeau has been changing the voting laws so that you don't need photo ID and all that kind of stuff. I am really afraid of voter fraud.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What are we going to do about that?
We need to go back of what we did when we were in government. Absolutely right. You need a photo IDs. That was the first bill that Trudeau passed after the general election in 2015. Yes.
But for this election coming up in 2019, are we afraid for voter fraud?
Maybe, but we cannot do it. We cannot do anything about it. The bill is there, it's legislation. My position on that, yes, we'll review that for being sure that there's a photo ID there.
Okay, and just one more quick thing. We were just at the restaurant here in Montana's for supper, and they didn't even know who Maxime Bernier was.
Right.
So we have to get the word out. How do we do that? What can we do to help you?
Go on Facebook, on Twitter,
Okay.
everywhere. Speak to your friends, speak to your family, and you know, I was with Dave Rubin. I don't know, I didn't but it's because of you. It's because of you. Because Dave told me, Maxime, I didn't have any choice. Because you know, a lot of Canadians, they wrote to me and they said, we want Bernier. So that's why I was there. So when I'm traveling, speak to you people, speak to your local media. You must have an interview with Bernier. You know, I try to do some media, traditional media. I will do all the media that I need to do. But you're right. I need to be out there. I need to speak more. But also,
are you going to do more advertisements?
But we are raising money. We will do more advertising. During the general campaign, we'll be on TV. We'll save money to do ad on TV for sure. And also, the most important, I'll be at the national debates. That
will help. Well, Maxime, I just want to thank you for your sacrifice in coming out. My question is regarding economic reform. As some of you may know, and you spoke a little bit about this, but the Garlotti decision was taken in Ontario regarding the Bank of Canada, where the federal government has failed to enforce or follow the law of Canada, and in 1967, the Bank of Canada's control was turned over to the Rothschild family instead of being retained by the Cabinet of Canada. Since then, our debt has ballooned, and we have lost control of our society due to so many economic factors not being under our own political control. So my question is, will you help publicize and revisit the fact that the federal government at the time put a publication ban on the Garlotti decision, and the judge allowed the federal government supposedly 18 months to review it and implement it? That deadline has now passed, and they are basically unlawfully ripping off all Canadians, charging usury when under our own laws this is illegal.
So I must admit, I don't agree with that. Well, I agree with the Bank of Canada. I don't agree with all your premise, but what I agree with, the Bank of Canada, they're creating money out of thin air, and when they're doing that, it's creating inflation. And inflation, it is a hidden tax. When you have $5 in your pocket and there's inflation, you cannot buy the same amount of goods or services. So today, the Bank of Canada, they have an agreement with the government of Canada to have a target of 2% inflation. So every year there's 2% inflation. Every year your purchasing power is going down. So that's bad for you, that's bad for Canadians. And if 2% inflation is good, why not having 20% inflation? So inflation is bad. Inflation, it is a tax, a hidden tax, and we have inflation because the Bank of Canada, they're creating money out of thin air. So the way to solve that is to have a target of 0% inflation. So if there's 0% inflation, you'll keep your purchasing power. So that's our reform with the Bank of Canada. I think that's a great one.
Okay, just a follow-up. Okay. Who gets paid the interest that is created on our money, and it is not Canada?
Yeah, but it is the bond, people who own the bond. So Canadians by their,
that's a false answer.
But we don't agree on that part. Okay, go.
Hey, so I got about 4 questions. Try and make them quick.
Yeah.
The UN is an organization with a lot of power.
Yeah.
I think a lot of this Paris Accord, all this stuff is kind of UN pressure.
Yes.
How do you plan on dealing with pressure like that?
Right. You know, the federal government is giving a lot of money to the UN and UN some subcommittee, like the UN Human Rights. And who's on the board of that human right? Cuba, North Korea. So we won't be there. So we will save money. We won't be everywhere with the UN. We'll save money, and we don't have to. We're a sovereign country. We don't have to follow what the UN is telling us. You know, we're a sovereign country. That's why I'm against the compact on migration. You know, Trudeau said, I will sign that compact on migration. It is not binding. So why signing an agreement if you don't want to follow it? Yeah, we won't have any UN bureaucrats in Ottawa telling us what to do. That will be the Canadian bureaucrats in Ottawa that will follow UN's rules. So I don't want that. So that's why I said the first one, no more UN compact on migration. And it was so popular that 4 days before Trudeau signed it, and Boucher said, I'm like Maxime, I'm against the compact. So the UN is a dysfunctional organization, and you know they want to have in a couple of years from now, and they're arguing with that, and they want to have a UN parliament that will have regulation that is binding to countries. It's not for tomorrow, maybe in 15 years from now, but I don't believe in that, and so that's why we must keep our sovereignty here in Canada.
Keep it short. You thought about abolishing the monarch?
No, it's part of the Constitution also. We need to reopen the Constitution. I like our system. It's a parliamentary system, and you know, it's not the best system. There's no best democracy. Every system, they have their pour and their cons, and so. But this parliamentary system, I like it, and I want to change it. And if you want to change it, you will need to reopen the Constitution, and I want to have this debate. We have so many things to do, and we can do that by respecting the Constitution.
Yeah.
I want to try and keep this a little bit short.
Yeah.
This is regarding the topic of vote splitting. I wanted to give you an opportunity to say something about this from maybe a different angle that you haven't had an opportunity to.
Yeah.
I'm a liberal. Yeah. I'm not a mollycoddling, politically correct liberal. Yeah. I'm a classical liberal in the sense of Friedrich Hayek or something.
Okay.
I'm one of your supporters.
Same thing. I'm with Hayek, Friedrich, and all these economists.
I think that there's an untapped potential. If I made one hopefully constructive criticism of the campaign, which has just been brilliant so far, that there's a lot of people out there that are more liberally minded, that believe in free markets, they believe in freedom of speech, and there literally is no liberal party in Canada. You're not only the most conservative, you are actually, by the classical definition, the most liberal candidate that there is. And I'd love to hear you say that.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I believe in freedom, I believe in free speech, and you're absolutely right. But about, you know, people who are, I'm very pleased that people who are coming to our party. We have liberal Canadian liberals that voted for Jean Chrétien and Paul Martin. They don't recognize themselves in the Socialist Liberal Party right now, and they're coming because they believe in a balanced budget and lower taxes. So we have these kind of people in our party. We have also former conservatives that are coming in our party. But let me tell you that in New Brunswick, the president of our riding association over there voted for the NDP the last 5 elections, and he told me that. And I look at him, I said, did you read our platform? Are you sure that you are in the right party? And he told me, yes, Maxime, because I believe in 2 policies that are very important for me. Ending corporate welfare and ending the cartel of supply management. That would be good for the poor family in this country. So he said, that's why I'm with you. So we can have people like that. But the most interesting, 30% of the population didn't vote at the last federal election. 30% of the population said that they don't believe in politicians anymore, they didn't vote. So in our party, we have a lot of people that didn't vote, and they're coming to us, and they will vote for the first time at the next election because they like, you're one of them, great. So because they like the way that we're doing politics with no compromise based on ideas. So we can have these people. And about splitting the vote, you know, like Andrew Scheer said, it's a centrist party. He will try to please everybody. There's no real conservative, free market, small government political party in Ottawa anymore. Because the Conservative Party, they're in the middle, they're centrist and pragmatic. So if you want to be sure to vote for a real, I don't like to use that right-wing party, because we're not a real right-wing party. We believe in freedom. We believe in less government in your life. We believe in people. So you would need to vote for the People's Party. We're the only one. And I'm telling you, you know, vote for your values, vote for what you believe in, and like that we'll be able to make a huge difference, and maybe we can be in government, maybe we can have the balance of power, maybe we can be the official opposition. I don't know what will happen, but we'll be there for sure, and you won't lose your vote voting for us. It's voting for yourself at the same time.
Exactly.
Yeah, is it okay? Go ahead.
No, it's another guy. First of all, thank you for supporting Rebel Media. They're not always perfect, but they definitely deserve to be on a level playing field with the CBC and every other media here in Canada. And secondly, I liked what you have said on firearms, pretty much all regulations in Canada. But what I've never heard your thoughts on is actually concealed carry. And if you would actually be open to, in the future, having people actually being trained properly and properly psychologically tested and everything and properly licensed, and actually having something like that in Canada. Because I think it would be very useful. And if you look in the states where concealed carry happens, there's a lot less mass shootings.
Right. So our gun policy is it's on our website. You can look at it. I think you like it. I'm not a gun expert, but I had the privilege to speak with some gun expert, and that's why we built up that policy. And for me, the most important is if you want to practice your sport, you must be able to do it. And yes, we must put more money in the screening and everything. You must have, you personally, a permit. But why? That's why we abolished the registry. We don't need any registry at the federal level. We need to know who you are and why you want to have firearms, and that's it. So I don't know by heart my firearm policy because I'm not an expert. So, but just go on our website and you look at it. They told me that it's the best firearm policy that I had during the leadership campaign. So thanks for your support.
No more firearms licenses without photos.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they need a photo. You're right. It's like voting. That's the same thing. You need a photo. Yes.
It's ridiculous.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi Max, I'm a big fan. I'm also the treasurer. I'm also the treasurer for the Edmonton Manning riding. But I'm wondering, I haven't seen this in your platform, but ever since 1971, where the fertility rate was 2.1 per woman.
Yeah.
It's gone down to 1.6.
Yeah.
Ever since then, it's been below the replacement level.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you're planning to do that might help Canada's growth rate among the native population?
Yes. Our economic policy. You know, if it's a cost having a child, And so our economic policies, by giving you more money in your pockets, you'll be able to decide by having a smaller government, lowering tax. Our tax policy is only 2 tax rates. One at 15% for people earning more than 15K to 100K, and for earnings more than 100K, it will be 25% tax rate. Only 2 tax rate, and for the poor, it will increase the personal exemption to $15,000. So if you earn less than $15,000, you won't pay income tax. So we need to give you back your own money in your pocket. Like that, you'll be richer, and like that, you'll be able to take decision. If you want to have more kids, that's a cost for that, and you'll have the money maybe for it.
Very good.
Thank you.
Hi, Max. My name is Tony. Thank you for coming out. Very pleased to meet you. Corruption is my thing, and a very short, quick story.
Yeah.
I have with my own 2 little beady eyes seen a check made out to a Canadian politician, well, actually his wife, for a fairly significant $5,000 or a 5-figure number, in aid of getting something done by the federal government. I think this is actually an endemic problem. I think lots of politicians take money. I think the problem with SNC Lavalin and everywhere else is that our politicians are not sufficiently scrutinized for this sort of behavior. We need to do something about this. We need a royal commission, not just into the fact that SNC Lavalin is paying the Liberal Party too much money. I think they are actually, in fact, paying politicians and senior civil servants and who knows who else to get things done. Royal Commission is my thought that might be a workable way to do that. What else is possible that comes to your mind?
I think you have the answer. Yes, we want to go to know all these details about that corruption in Ottawa, and the best way is to have a Royal Commission or is to have a public inquiry like we had on the other Liberal scandal, what was the Gomery Commission. So we need to have something like that also.
Gomery didn't have teeth.
Yeah, but at least we knew a little bit more. So I want to know more. But I know that it's all starting by the relationship with politicians, and when you give subsidies to businesses, that's what happened. We will cut that. So we won't be able to, we'll cut subsidies, no privilege, so that's our position is very firm. With us, you won't have that. But what happened in the past, I want to know more, and yes, I agree with you, we need to have a public inquiry on that.
Something with some teeth.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good day. Thanks for coming out.
Thanks.
My name's Keith. I'm a dad of 3 sons.
Yeah.
And I'm a father of 3 sons. And one of my sons is with me tonight. I'm a little concerned. The world's changing in a very bizarre way.
Yeah.
And I want to know if you have any ideas towards, I guess, the opportunity for me to be a grandparent. Because I got 3 sons who are pretty scared in this world, wondering what's going on. And as an example being is, dating. Dating is pretty frightening to these guys right now. 21, 23, and 25 are my sons. Believe me when they're afraid to date. They're afraid to.
I'm not to be afraid. Vote PPC.
Yeah, you say that, but they got friends that have gone to jail because they went on a date.
Yeah.
So, and I know that's not the federal level. It's a
human question. I appreciate that. What I can tell you, it's what's happening in Ottawa right now with the huge deficit and the debt. It is, that will be your son and my daughters that will have to pay for that. That's why we need to do a cleanup as soon as possible and changing the policies, because all policies will bring economic growth, and like that it will be easier to tackle the deficit. But the relationship with, I said to my daughters, you need to believe in yourself. You need to take some risk in life. And I want to, and I always have an open relationship with my daughters. They were telling me everything, and I was listening to them. So you're doing the same thing. So, but they must be out there. They must try to do their best. And at the end, I think we're very lucky to live in this country. This country can be better, and it will be better with us. So they're at the right place, and I'm sure they have a great dad to help them in the future. Oh yes. Thank you.
sir. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. First off, I'd like to say, as a lifelong NDP voter, it's
an example that
it's my pleasure to announce my intention to vote for the People's Party of Canada. In many cases, my question is about something very near and dear to my heart, the justice system.
Yeah.
I'm not comfortable saying who I am or what I do, but I work within the justice system dealing with some of Canada's worst offenders.
Yeah.
And some of the stories I could tell here would shock and appall you all. But after spending much time thinking about this, I think the number one thing we can do to make the justice system work better for Canadians is to streamline it and simplify it. So my question is, do you have anything in your platform or any policies which would streamline and simplify the Canadian justice system? Thank you.
Yes, and I think the best thing to do is to put more resources there. You know, it's a shame that, you know, the corrupt people that work with SNC Lavalin, they were on trial, but at the end, nothing would happen because the delay was too huge. And so the judge says, you know, it's unfair, you won't be tried. So can you believe they're corrupt and they won't have anything. So what we must do, we must be sure to invest, having more judges, having more resources, and like that, justice will be quicker. And that's the first step. Second, also, all the legislation that the Upper government passed tough on crime, we must go back to that. It's all there. We just have to go back to that and Trudeau erase everything, repeal everything. So yes, my position on crime is to take all what we did when when I was with Harper at that time. We did great legislation to be tough on crime. Put that in front of the Parliament, and I'll vote for it to be sure to have a system that will work, people will understand, but also reinvest for being sure to have the judge that will be there in a short time.
Thank you very much, sir. Cheers.
Yeah.
Hi. In Alberta here, we have a law where we elect our senators in waiting, and Justin Trudeau has decided to completely ignore it and appoint whoever he wants on an independent basis. Would you commit to choosing senators from Alberta who we elect ourselves?
Yes, I'll do like Harper did. We did that when we were in government. I think Stephen Harper was the first one to appoint an elected senator from Alberta. Yes, absolutely. If you have an election at the provincial level and you elect a senator, we will, and I will appoint him for sure. And we'll go back to having conservative senator, liberal senator. There's no independent senator. So we have a system that is working at the Senate. They cleaned their house a couple of years ago. So absolutely, answering your question, yes. If you elect a senator, that will be your senator that must be appointed in the Senate.
Thank you very much.
Maybe the last one here, and we'll take up all the...
Hey, Mr. Bernier, my name's Eric, and I grew up on a farm 45 minutes southwest of Edmonton. Now, there's a couple things I'd like to touch on, but I'll keep it as short as I can. Property rights and rural crime. Rural crime is on the rise. And you know what, we can't do anything about it. We're literally 15 minutes away from the nearest town. It takes the cops 2 hours to get to us by the time we call. And if we try to do anything with these criminals that are there, we will be thrown in jail ourselves.
It's a shame. It's a shame. You must have and you have the right to protect your own property. That's the basic of it.
I think we should touch on this a little bit more, capital gains.
Yeah.
There are some 5-generation farmers where I'm at, and this goes back to where you had to clear so much land in order to keep it. Now, my question is, how many of these people have died over the years trying to do that, trying to make that, and the memories, and the families, and the sacrifice that was put into the land? Now we have it where if my father wanted to give me some property, I have to pay fair market value and a bunch of taxes on that.
That's why we want to abolish capital gains tax for every industry. That would be good for you, that would be good for everybody. If you're, you know, the Trudeau government, maybe you don't know that, in the last budget, when you sell your house, you don't pay any capital gains tax on your house. So, but in the last budget, you will have, starting the 1st of January this year, if you sell your house this year, you will have to declare, you will have to say to the Canadian government how much profit you did on your house when you sold your house. So that's the beginning, because I think they want to impose capital gains tax on your house, on your that's important. So no more capital gains tax on your own property, on your own house, on your first house, but also for every industry. That will bring you more money in your pockets. And I understand that. I'm the only one to speak about it. The other political parties, they don't want to touch that. They think that, oh, you know, it's too complicated. But at the end, it's good for people. You need to be able to sell your house or your business without having a capital gains tax.
Okay. Can I make one more point? When my grandparents immigrated up here, they were told if they'd apply for any kind of welfare or any kind of government assistance, they would be immediately deported. We have refugees coming into this country getting $90,000 checks. $90,000 out of my pocket, stealing from my future. That would pay for my university, that would pay for a brand new vehicle. I would be completely out of debt, and these people are getting just walking through the door. My grandparents had to work their asses off to get to where we are.
That's unfair.
They're not a burden to
That's
society.
unfair. You're absolutely right.
Rural Alberta is frustrated. We're tired of the regulations imposed on us provincially and federally. We're tired of being squeezed and squeezed out and squeezed for more. And you know what? It's ridiculous. We're
you're not the
angry
only
and we
one.
need a change.
You're not looking. We're tired also. That's why we are here tonight.
Yes.
Okay, so maybe we'll take 4 more questions, and I'll stay here. And if we want to take photo, or if you want to have a short discussion with me, I'll stay here. But we'll take maybe 4 more.
Hey Max, how's it going?
Yeah, great, thanks.
Well, before we send you to the Thunderdome there in Ottawa, the Rebel media has reported that you actually hired a guy who's anti-oil sands on your party.
That's not true. Not true at all.
Okay, I just want, I have a guy on my team, he's 22 years old, and he was at the university at 18 years old, and he did a project with other students over there, with leftist professor, and these people, they're anti-oil, and when he came on board, 2-3 years later, he perfectly agreed with the party, he's working out for us, and he's helping me to build this party, and Daniel believed in our platform 100%, and he tweeted about it. I'm very proud of my people working in Ottawa, and yes, they believe in the platform like I believe in the platform.
Excellent, good.
Thank you.
Hi Maxime, it's an honor to meet you. And I'm not currently a PPC member, but after tonight, I am absolutely signing up. I've never been a member of a political party in my life. But this is terrific. My question to you, actually, the former gentleman leads into it just fantastically. My question is about education. Our education system is extremely well funded by everybody in this room at all levels, from primary school to universities. I'm very concerned about the one-sided ideology that I'm seeing students graduate school with. I don't think politics belongs in the school. It's up to the folks and the parents in the room to raise their children how they would like to raise their children and give them the belief system that they would believe in. Things like Lindsay Shepherd and the stuff that went down with Jordan Peterson and the various professors being outed and transgender. I know this is a hot topic.
Yeah. No, it is not hot. There's no hot topic for us.
Yeah.
So first of all, education, it's a 100% provincial jurisdiction. And I cannot do at the federal level anything about that. But the university, the federal government is giving money to universities, funding universities. So with the People's Party government, if a university wants to have some money from the federal government or grant from the federal government, they will have to have a free speech policy on campus. If they don't have that, they won't have any federal money. And about transgender and all that, as you know, Lavalin, our candidate in Burnaby South, she fought that at the provincial level. She said, and I think she was right, that's not the role of the state to say to a young boy at 5 or 6 years old that because he's playing with Barbie, thank you, that he may not be a boy or a girl that's playing with a truck, that maybe she may not be a girl, so that's not the role of the state to do that. But me at the federal level, I cannot do anything, but it's a fight that you must do at the provincial level. I agree with you. Yeah.
I'm a big fan. I have two things. First of all, Mama 5, who, by the way, thanks to that guy, I homeschool. My oldest wanted to be here and couldn't, so she made this picture for you. I said I would give it to
you. Mad Max, we choose you. Yeah. Thank you. The Mad Max is happy because he's in Alberta. When I'm in Ottawa, I'm mad. But when I'm outside Ottawa, I feel great.
So my question is about freedom of offensive speech.
Yeah.
In Canada, and in any country, right, cultures will always change. And therefore, what is important to people will change with it. However, people who follow any religious text, Jews, Muslims, or Christians like myself, we don't change with a changing culture because we're following an unchanging book. Therefore, I would like to know what the federal government believes about the freedom of speech that you personally disagree with and find offensive.
Absolutely, you have the right, freedom. Freedom of speech, and you're free to say what you want to say to. There's no,
Scrap the hate speech laws.
Actually, it's more. Yes, we have one at the federal level, but there's hate speech laws at every provinces. We must. Yes, actually, you're right. So hate speech or things like that, people must have the right to say what they believe, and if you don't like it, it's your problem.
Yes.
That's the way. We must be able to debate in a society. We must be able to debate. Yes, I think we must review the hate speech that we have at the federal level. Yes, I agree with that. Thank you. Okay, these two, and I will be. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, well, let's go. It's 9 o'clock,
You're popular.
Hi guys, my name is Zach here from Edmonton here. You're going to be a busy man when we all elect you to office. But I was wondering, regarding the immigration issue, do you, in your first mandate anyway, is immigration part of the first mandate to have some comprehensive reform?
Oh yes, that would be
temporary foreign worker program and the abuse of that, and the watering down of jobs for Canadians that are already here, and bringing in people just to keep the wages down. It's enough.
Yes, everything that is on the platform, it's something that we will do in the first mandate. Yes, we need to do that in the first mandate. Immigration, it's important. The tax reform, it's important. All of that will be done in the first mandate, and yes, we want to tackle that and having a real discussion and being sure that people who are coming here, it's to fulfill the economic needs of our country. If we don't need economic immigrants, we won't have economic immigrants. That's it.
One more thing here, specific to Edmonton, I'm sure there's some other cities across Canada as well. Don Iveson, who's our mayor here in Edmonton. Anyway, he essentially declared Edmonton one of these sanctuary cities. If immigration is a federal concern, how can he even do that?
Yeah, I like that. I like the question. We have the same thing in Montreal also. They did that. So if you tackle immigration globally, if we have less immigrants, if people are following that, they won't need to do that. These leftist mayors won't be able to do that because we'll have an immigration policy that is strict, everybody understands, and they won't come in our country. The last one here.
So a bit more of a minor issue, but what will you as a PPC do to address the nationwide effort to attack our nation's heritage and our history, the tearing down of John A. Macdonald statue?
I was the first one to tweet about it when that happened, and the main media were against me, but that's okay, But yes, I think you're right. we must speak about what unites us. And the thing that we can do, the federal government is funding right now. I didn't have time to speak about the extreme multiculturalism or radical multiculturalism. That's part of it. Justin Trudeau and the Liberals, they want to celebrate everything. And they use your money, the government money, to sponsor every ethnicity birthday or things like that. So we won't do that. What we will do, we'll celebrate what unites us, we'll celebrate our history, and yes, the federal government will put money there. But it is not the role of the government to give money to celebrate the Chinese year. If a Canadian from China wants to celebrate Chinese year, it's perfect, that's their choice. I believe in freedom. But the government won't do that. We will celebrate what unites us. That's the most important.
And also, will we make the reversals to an unwanted decision to change the national anthem, to change a $10 bill?
Right.
All these ambiguous changes, will we bring them back?
Yeah. We're proud of our history and celebrating our history. We need to do things like that. We need to be sure that, you know, the symbol of our country are the symbol of our country.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, maybe one more.
Hello, Maxime.
Hello.
Now, I know you said you don't do identity politics, but if you'll indulge me just this once, I am a proud gay supporter.
Perfect. Yeah. It's not a question of identity politics. You are yourself, and
that's true.
I don't have any issue with that.
Oh no, absolutely not.
I have gay guys who are working with me. So
yes, perfect. But my question is, you know, obviously, I don't support everything that, you know, my leftist friends do. Bill C-16, for example. And my question is, you know, what are you going to do to protect, you know, the basic rights, you know, for people like me, you know, we have our rights, but also to make sure that, you know, the crazies among us, you know, don't overreach their governmental powers to basically shove their ideologies down our throats.
Yeah, so first of all, I think the government, like I said, I won't do anything for you as a gay man or for another person as a lesbian. I won't do it. I'm speaking to you as a Canadian. So that's the most important. I won't have any specific policies, but if we have the real rule of law in this country, if we are putting our money where it is important, to be sure to educate our people about the values of our country, we don't need to do anything special for you. I won't do anything special also for older Canadians or young people or mother. Or for me, you're all Canadians. So I think that in this country, your rights are there and protected by the charter, and that's great. You know, I don't have to do anything more.
Perfect.
I've been pushing you for a long, long time on social media, and before you named the party, and even more so now. I am your social media coordinator in Red Deer.
Oh, there you go.
So, I listen to a lot of people, and three of the things that are their concerns is there a possibility of going back to zero, like a moratorium on immigration until the mess is cleaned up?
Yeah, okay. The answer is that's not part of the platform. I'm saying 250,000 a year or less. I don't know what would be. It can be less than that. But for me, the maximum immigrants every year must be 250. So it can be less because we want to have more economic. So if the ratio is 80% economic immigrant, 10% refugees, and 10% reunification of family, in the 80% economic immigrant, if there's no need for economic immigrants, it would be less. So my answer is it won't be zero, but it will be maximum 250, and maybe it will be less because we won't need a lot of economic immigrants in the near future because of the economic situation in this country.
Just until the mess is cleaned up.
But we'll clean. But for the fake refugees, that would be zero. People who cross the border, that would be zero today.
Also, Sharia law in Canada?
No Sharia law in Canada, no.
Okay, first of all, again, thanks, Max. You are, as the lady said earlier, a breath of fresh air, and I think you are a hope for Canada. Having said that, we had a previous hope for Canada. His name was Preston Manning.
Yeah.
He sold us out to the libcons, to the globalists, and that's my concern. In Alberta here, we also had a hope. Her name was Danielle Smith.
Right. Yeah.
She sold us out to the libcons, the globalists.
Okay, I will answer the question by, I'm in politics. I was in the private sector before. I worked in financial institution in Montreal. I did good money over there. In 2006, I decided to be in politics with Stephen Harper. I decided to go in politics to fight for what I believe, individual freedom and personal responsibility. I did a big reform when I was the industry minister, deregulation of the telecom industry. So, and that's why I'm not with the Conservative anymore, because I don't want to waste my time. So I'm in politics for these ideas. I'm there for the long run, and I hope that we'll be in power as soon as possible, but no merge with the Conservative Party of Canada. Actually, I spoke with some of my former colleagues in Ottawa. They told me 2 weeks ago, Maxime, it's good what you're doing, but after the election, you'll come back with us. No way, Jose. Never. No compromise with the platform. No compromise with the ideas, and that's my best time in politics. I like what I'm doing. I don't want to go back, and I'll fight for that until we win. So, no, I won't be like the others.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We'll fight with you.
Let me start by saying thank you for coming here.
Thank you.
I'd be interested to hear your policy regarding protectionism and Canadian exports.
Yeah, okay. So I said that 80% of the platform is the same platform that I put forward during the leadership campaign, except one subject, free trade with China. When I was running for the Leadership Party of Canada, I said we must have a free trade with China. What I'm saying right now, no more free trade with China. That's a big difference. I believe in trade. I think we must have open trade, and if you want to buy something from Europe or from US, you must be able to do that without any tariff, without any quota. I believe that the business sector and the entrepreneur in Canada must be able to export. So yes, and I think the first budget, we will be able to abolish all the barriers or the tariff that the Canadian government is imposing. I'll give you an example. If you're an entrepreneur and you want to buy equipment from Germany, you'll have to pay tariff on that when it's coming to Canada. So we'll abolish all the tariffs, so like that it would be easier for business people to import and I hope export also at the same time. So yes, we are open to trade, but real trade, not managed trade. So that's important.
As a small business owner, that is exactly what I want to hear. Thank you so much.